Hello and welcome to Expansion Revolution Podcast. This is OJ Matiba. I'm a pastor at Hillview Church, and I have the privilege of bringing the Expansion Revolution nuggets every day of the week to your home, your office, wherever you are. This is going to be an inspirational moment where we empower you through tools from God's Word that can help you to enjoy the best life that God has created for you. Thank you. Enjoy. Hello and good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It is day number 3 on our series on lazy people versus diligent people. One of the interesting things we are asking you as a question in this series is, are you a lazy person or are you a diligent person? And of course, I know, the modern problem is that no one wants to be categorized or labeled as being lazy. As a matter of fact, if you have to meet people and you ask them, are you lazy or are you diligent? People might be mad at you to say you are labeling them as slothful or lazy. But let's look at these characteristics and see on whether indeed we are lazy or we are diligent. So I'm reading Proverbs chapter number 12, and I'm reading verse number 27, and it says, the lazy do not roast their catch or any game, but the diligent feed on the riches of their hunt. So that's one of the major difference between lazy people and diligent people, is that the lazy people do not cook what they catch from their hand, and the diligent people will use everything that they get to gain value. So I want to use this proverb as a background, that these two guys, one of the things that makes them different, and let's start first of all by looking at the lazy people, is that the lazy people can do a difficult task and never complete the last process that can give them the results. Now let's go back to the text. It means that a lazy person can go hunting. You know what you do in hunting? You go through the trees, you crawl, you look for an animal you want to shoot, you target, you aim until you shoot that animal and you kill it, and then you take it home. That's the implication of how traditional hunting was done. And then when you get home, you don't skin the animal and then roast it. So this guy have done the most difficult job, but for him to do the end process that can lead to him benefiting, he is too lazy to complete. Now, people who can do the most difficult aspect of work and never want to be involved in the processing aspect of that work, which can yield higher results, according to this text, they are lazy people. Now, here's the modern way of saying it, is that lazy people are producers of raw material, but do not want to be involved in the processing of the same for them to get the highest value. Now, what are you doing in your life currently? Are the things that you are doing at a generational level of raw material, but you never process the raw material that you get in order for you to get processed goods that can give you high value? So if you are lazy, it means you can do the hard work and never do the last work that might be technical for you to be able to get results. Lazy people don't do finished goods. They are lazy people and lazy countries which spend a lot of their work producing raw materials that they never produce finished goods that they need in their economy. I mean, this is part of the curse of Africa. It's actually not a curse, I don't want to use that way. It's actually part of the problem, because African thinking is concerned with production and hard work and labor and sweating, rather than the production of the end product, which results in value. You can imagine how much we export outside, which we are failing to take advantage of and use it as a finished product. So lazy people have that characteristic of being able to produce, but they are never there to eat from their labor. Number 2 is that lazy people at the highest level, they do not take pleasure in the processing. This guy went out, catch the animal, and then he's not involved in the roasting activity, which is where he needs energy to go and do the repeat business. So most of the time, if you are meeting lazy people, one of what they will tell you, their stories is, I once did that, and I didn't benefit, because in a matter of fact, what they did was they worked so hard, but they could not complete the process. And because the process was not completed, they couldn't benefit at a high level as they anticipated in the project. And they make a conclusive a view over that to say, I would never do that again. So in the process of that, they never get repeat on business. They do something once and they give up because they don't benefit out of. So you are a lazy person if you do things once and you fail and you don't recognize that the failure was due to the fact that you didn't take them towards the end. You stopped on the way. There are people who are benefiting the same industry where you quit. And because you stopped on the way, you couldn't recognize the result. But right now, you are standing on that experiential knowledge as truth to argue that there are no results in that area. So lazy people have the tendency of starting things and not taking pleasure in ensuring that those things are being brought into a stage where they can yield results. Once again, my friend, what type of a person are you? Are you diligent or are you lazy? If you are a lazy person, you will not get the results of what you do. Now, here's another thing, is that lazy people do not use all the byproducts of what they got. Now, here's how we arrive at that using a very strong deductivism on the text, is that this guy has had a big catch, and out of that catch, their skin, their hooves, there are other byproducts other than what can be eaten, and those things, they just get thrown away because a lazy person is only interested in what can feed him. Now, if we use a very strong deductivism on this, it means that you are lazy if you cannot use what you have to the highest profitability that you can get. Yeah. So I don't want to put rules here, but I say if we put up a rule that if you are engaged in a project, maximize your profits, maximize your gain over that project. But if you are involved in a project that you fail to get the maximum benefits out of it and you end up coming out of loss, the etymology of the word here used seems to describe you as a lazy person, because you were involved in much, but you came out of much with nothing. I can take this discussion further to talk about people who work and they come out going for retirement with nothing to show, which means they had lots of money passing through their hands, but they couldn't build or create asset base that can sponsor them after retirement, and therefore they go home empty when they have invested a lot of their life and they did not create investments out of where they were working. Thus, such people, although they've worked hard, but because they did not create value out of their work, may be labeled, according to this thinking, as being lazy. What are you doing with the benefits of the current rewards that you are getting out of your labor? Let's see you tomorrow. Think about it. Use what you have to make your life better and to create value that you can benefit over it once the work is finished. That's a characteristic of diligent people, and I'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Let's see you tomorrow.